Everyone seems to be feeling the impact of cheating and its current effect within Call of Duty Warzone. But what about the near future? Could it actually get any worse? This is my interview with Call of Duty's largest cheat provider. In the shadows of the digital battlefield where honor and deceit clash, a figure has emerged from the depths of anonymity. Today, we dare venture into the realm of the forbidden. The domain of Call of Duty cheat providers. Brace yourselves, for we are about to have a chat with one of the largest Call of Duty cheat providers. The enigma known as Zeebler of Phantom Overlay. A name whispered in hushed tones amongst various anti-cheat teams. Zeebler, the architect of Phantom Overlay. Prepare yourselves, for we are about to embark on a journey that will challenge our perceptions, question our convictions, and force us to confront the very essence of game morality. This video contains comments and opinions from Zeebler, owner of Phantom Overlay. All opinions and comments are his own, and its op is not associated or affiliated with Phantom Overlay, nor is this in any way an endorsement of Phantom Overlay, their products, services, or any other associates not mentioned. This is merely a glimpse into what the very near future has in store for cheating in Call of Duty. So buckle up, kids, because this time, the truth is going to sting a little bit. On a scale of 1 to 10, how effective is Ricochet anti-cheat? And why?
Ricochet is a 5 or a 6 right now. As for the good, it has a few good generic internal and external detections. Hiding an overlay window, which is used for external cheat software ESP rendering, is difficult against Ricochet. Ricochet also detects a few common injection methods used by internal cheat developers. The shadow ban system is bad, but the server-side AntiCheat itself isn't bad. The server-side AntiCheat that COD has in place can be useful in conjunction with reports to flag certain players for review. Ricochet's driver has issued some very tricky targeted detections over the last few years. I wouldn't consider the anti-cheat vulnerable either. As for the bad, there are many generic detections for external, internal, DMA and computer vision. Cheat software missing. Targeted detections aren't issued enough. His shadow ban system completely wastes what the server-side anti-cheat sets Team Ricochet up to be able to do, which is allocate server and human resources to deeply review flagged and reported players, which they clearly do not do. Hardware bans are weak and issued too rarely. Overall, I am happy with where Ricochet is right now because they are causing problems for some of my competitors and keeping the COD market less saturated. As for me, my external has been doing amazing, and I'm still going to offer DMA Cheat software too, which will have a shareable web browser radar feature. Down the line, I will also do something with computer vision.
Do you believe Ricochet or any aspect of Ricochet anti-cheat was designed with the protection of larger streamers in mind?
This is just a theory, but Activision may grant larger streamers a high trust score to prevent them from being shadow banned. If they didn't do something like this, large streamers would be periodically getting shadow banned and would complain about that very publicly. I'm not saying that large streamers are cheating necessarily. Even if a large streamer isn't cheating, if they are good, they are going to get periodically shadow banned, just like anyone else who is good at the game, unless they are given high trust by Activision. I think that the whitelist system some people talk about is just Activision giving certain people a very high trust score behind the scenes. I think if a large streamer used a detected cheat, they'd still be banned. But I think they are exempt from the server-side evaluations that lead to shadow bans.
What are some of the pros and cons of a game using an anti-cheat built in-house, such as Ricochet anti-cheat, versus that of a third-party anti-cheat, such as Easy anti-cheat?
The benefit of using an in-house anti-cheat is that you can integrate your anti-cheat with your game easily. The game developers and the anti-cheat developers are working for the same entity, so sharing source code and communicating becomes very easy. The anti-cheat team could advise the game development team during the development of the game, which can be extremely beneficial. For example, the anti-cheat team might advise someone doing artwork for the game to make enemy models such that they are visible to humans but not overly easy to detect with computer vision. The anti-cheat team could also advise the game developers regarding secure practices regarding client and server. Implementations like a fog of war system where the server doesn't communicate locations of enemies to the client until that information becomes relevant are also easier to implement if the anti-cheat team is working closely with the game development team early on. It may seem like I am recommending an in-house anti-cheat over a third-party anti-cheat, but I'm not. The massive drawback of an in-house anti-cheat is that the company in charge of the anti-cheat team essentially has to start and manage an entirely new business in addition to their game development or publishing business. Creating an anti-cheat team and managing them during the process I previously described requires a lot of work, funding, flexibility, and time. While it may not seem ideal to hire a third-party company to cover anti-cheat for a game, it is certainly the best move. These third-party anti-cheat companies like AntiCheat are worlds ahead of any in-house anti-cheat I've ever seen. Those companies have already formed anti-cheat dream teams, and they have built incredibly strong anti-cheat software over the last several years. It may not be easy as to integrate Easy Anti-Cheat or BattleEye into an existing game as it would be to integrate an in-house anti-cheat from the start, but it should be done. I should also mention that Easy Anti-Cheat and BattleEye do charge very premium fees to be integrated into a game because of how much work the integration is. These fees are worth it.
Is there any validity or credibility to the theories that employees from Activision or one of their dev studios leaked or sold anything that would have helped your aided cheat providers stay ahead of the anti-cheat measures?
A PDB file for Warzone was leaked a few years ago. I have no idea how that happened, but it seems like someone on the inside was just negligent. I don't think that anyone from the inside was cooperating with a cheat developer. I've seen PDB files leak for multiple games in the past, and there are many ways for that to happen without cooperation on the inside. For those who don't know what a PDB file is, just think of it as something that makes reverse engineering the game easy. It's not something that the end user of the game is supposed to obtain.
Has Ricochet or anything related to the anti-cheat ever detected any aspects or features related to ESP wall hacks from any Call of Duty cheat provider?
Ricochet detected constant UAV a few years ago, which caused a ban wave for basically every provider besides Phantom Overlay. I told my users I wasn't going to add that feature because it was an easy detection vector. Ricochet has also detected some overlay windows of external cheats, surely just like every anti-cheat has. Ricochet has also surely detected some internal rendering methods, including hooking the game's rendering itself. If something like ESP or wall hacks itself gets detected, then everyone who uses the cheat is going to be detected. It's certainly a smart thing to detect.
What are some of the most common features that get detected from any Call of Duty cheat provider?
For internal or external cheat software, usually risky features are targeted by the anti-cheat because this will cause any provider who has implemented the features in a similar way to experience ban waves. Constant UAV, unlock all, silent aim, view angle aim bots, no recoil, exploits, perk editing, certain controller support methods for aimbot, glow, charms, the list goes on. These are all risky features with heightened detection vectors. For my external cheats, I never implement a feature that writes to the game's memory.
What are DMA cheats and how do they differ from software-based cheats?
DMA cheat software is cheat software that runs on a second computer. The cheat software accesses the game's memory through a PCIe board, which is the DMA board plugged into the game computer. The DMA board has firmware flashed to it that masks the DMA board as a legitimate device by mimicking a real legitimate device. This setup enables the cheater to have a client or web browser radar on any device and even share it with friends. If the cheater wants to render ESP over their game, they can use a fuser or the streaming software Moonlight to do that. Aimbot, Triggerbot, and Flickbot can be accomplished with a KM box, which allows you and a second computer to control the input of one mouse or keyboard plugged into your game computer.
How long have DMA cheats been used in games like Call of Duty?
DMA became more common in the COD cheating community over the last few years. Cheaters didn't see the need to use DMA before Ricochet was implemented at all. And even now, with Ricochet not being as strong as BattleEye or Easy Anti-Cheat, most cheaters still don't see the need to use DMA. When I announced that I was creating DMA cheat software for COD, a lot of people thought it was unnecessary since my external has gone undetected for such long periods of time. I personally think that overkill is nice. I also have a lot of customers who stream or enter tournaments, and it is very easy to not get caught doing those things when using DMA.
Are DMA cheats undetectable?
Yes, but DMA boards with quality firmware are nearly impossible to detect. Anti-cheats are going to get better at trying to detect DMA cheaters, but firmware is also getting better. We are way ahead of most anti-cheats. DMA is particularly far ahead of Ricochet.
Are DMA cheats better than software cheats, and if they are, why is that?
DMA cheats are more secure currently than external or internal software cheats because the cheat itself runs on a separate computer and interacts with the game computer using hardware that mimics real devices.
Do you believe more players are using DMA cheats currently? Or do you think more players are using software-based cheats currently? And do you feel that this may change in the near future?
There are many more cheaters using external or internal cheat software compared to DMA cheats. That isn't going to change anytime soon. The barrier of entry for internal or external cheating is usually about 20 to 40 euros a month. DMA cheating is much more expensive, and it's really only necessary for security-obsessed cheaters, streamers, or tournament cheaters.
What are some of the challenges anti-cheat teams have when dealing with DMA cheats?
In my last interview with Caps Locked, I made DMA sound easier to detect than it actually is. I was just going over the detection vectors it has and talking about how easy poor quality firmware is to detect. Quality firmware that really mimics a legitimate device is incredibly hard to detect. You can even reverse engineer the driver that installs when you plug in a PCIe board and mimic the driver and communication so that your DMA board really appears in most ways to be a legitimate device. I am in touch with a lot of the leading individuals in the DMA firmware space, and I've even gotten involved myself by offering to help one of them. DMA is really going to be a long-term problem for anti-cheats, and I don't envy anyone tasked with stopping it.
Do you foresee a day when software cheats are completely replaced by DMA cheats?
I think that internal and external software cheats being used on the same computer as the game will be favored less than DMA cheat software or other cheat software that uses hardware in the future. I think that computer vision cheating will also get very popular in the future. Hardware and computer vision-based cheating is the future. I think it's still worth having fun with external and internal cheat software for now, though, especially on COD. Plenty of internal and external cheat software like ours goes fully undetected for years at a time on COD. There is no urgency for everyone to immediately switch to DMA, but it is a nice option for security-obsessed cheaters, streamers, and tournament cheaters. As I said though, in the future, hardware and computer vision cheating will be popular, maybe even rampant.
Do you feel if the cost of cheats were to double, or even triple in price across the board, that would equate to less people deciding to cheat? Or do you feel that price point has no influence on a player's decision to cheat in Call of Duty?
Cheaters are very motivated to cheat. Even the most expensive forms of cheating are affordable enough to not deter dedicated cheaters. Internal or external cheats cost 20 to 40 euros a month, which is a very low price considering you can profit more than that per month from using cheat. Hardware cheating also isn't as bad as people think. Most quality DMA boards are a few hundred. Fuses are also a few hundred, but you can use the streaming software Moonlight to bypass the need for a fuser, which is something I didn't mention in my interview with Caps because I forgot to. A KM box is about 50, so that's not bad either. The second computer used can be a poor quality computer or laptop, so that can also be more affordable than most people think. This isn't as cheap as the usual internal or external cheat that you buy for 20 to 40 a month. But my point is that you aren't going to be out as much money as most people think. Computer vision cheating setups with 2 computers will be less expensive than DMA, but not as cheap as internal or external one-computer cheat software. Like I also said, I think that if cheaters have a way to profit from buying cheats, they will also care less about how much they have to spend. For example, many of my customers seem to cheat for money or make money streaming. I also know that people are going to rent out my shareable web browser Radar as a service.
Well, Ziebler, we thank you for your time and honesty and making yourself available to answer these questions that, quite frankly, Call of Duty could have answered themselves but choose not to. But before we let you go, we have one last question for you. You had mentioned that a lot of your customers are content creators, streamers, and wager scene kids. My question to you is, out of all of these customers that stream, who happens to be the largest streamer using Phantom Overlay cheats currently?
Yes, this is correct. A lot of my customers do profit from their cheating endeavors. But the largest streamer who happens to be using my cheats, well, that one is pretty easy. Her name is